If it's not funded, it's not real. Sometimes there are policies in place that say the government wants to spend on a certain product or service, but the accompanying appropriation doesn't exist. And that appropriation is the equivalent of money in your checkbook. If there's no money in the checkbook, it doesn't matter what the policy said, it won't be bought. So in government sales, there's an opportunity to try to position money or maneuver so that money will be in place such that a contract can ultimately be written. But if there's no money there for the government to buy it, it doesn't matter what the policy is. There are many, many policies that do not get funded, and therefore those products or services might not get bought. Understanding that difference, when you sell business to business, you think you have a relationship between a buyer and a seller, and it's reasonable to think that that buyer has the money to pay for what they think they want. The government isn't always in that position. The government process is Byzantine in its complexity, and it's ironic that the process is designed to protect taxpayer money by putting all these safeties in place, and in doing so, we wind up costing the taxpayer many times more than something should cost. We can't change that, so we have to maneuver within that process. The government has a way to identify requirements within programs, and then those programs are evaluated to be weighed against one another at more and more senior levels of, say, a department of government. So it could be a service, it could be the Navy, it could be the Army. That goes up to a defense-wide level where these evaluations are made about programmatically, are we buying the right kinds of things? That's a complex process. There's a complex approval process for that takes years to unfold. Some companies approach this process at just too low a level and miss out on those early developmental opportunities because they don't realize what it took to shape that requirement and that potential for a sale. But there's real opportunity there if you have something innovative that you can bring forward. And if you understand how those internal processes work, you can have different conversations and be positioned much, much earlier. I say the good idea year is 4 years out. The budget process starts 3 years out. So I try to get clients to see it by working it backwards. So today we are executing a budget that was conceived 3 years ago and evaluated 2 years ago and approved 1 year ago. So if you work that backwards, you can see that if you go through the front door at every step of the process, it's 3 to 4 years from good idea until contract. There are ways to jumper through various aspects of the process, and that's where process expertise comes into play. That's where people who can understand the when and the where and the why and the who that you need to speak with, where you can influence the internal machinery of the buying process. You know, we're taught to communicate and over-communicate, and I see it time and again where companies over-communicate. And by that I mean they communicate too frequently at the wrong place and time with a terrible message. And I love the enthusiasm of salespeople because they believe in what they have and what they are offering, but so often they don't recognize that their audience isn't buying what they're selling or doesn't have time to hear about everything that they know. And so the salesperson will blow the opportunity by giving away credibility, not recognizing they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're taking too long to say that.